Hiya there, and welcome to me, Jules Brown, on this Off the Cuff Reviews. And today I'm going to be reviewing this album, which is called The Fawn by The Sea and Cake, released in March 1997. I got to hear about The Sea and Cake from a Galaxy 500 and Lunar chat forum on the internet circa 1996-1997, and it was from a fellow on there whose name was Zeno. Hello, Zeno, who was waxing lyrical, like some other people were, about this Chicago band, The Sea and Cake, who at that point in time I did not know anything about, but I do now because I'm quite a fan. So this is just about, I feel I have to mention the people who have influenced me in music and guided me. And one of those people has guided me in more recent years, or from the late 90s, certainly around that time, introduced me to some good music, was my good friend Zeno in Washington State. So let me review the album for you. As I say, The Sea and Cake were Sam Prekop and Eric Claridge, and Archer Pruitt and John McIntyre. Sam and Eric were both in Shrimp Boat before they joined the band, and this was their third album, released in '97. It starts off, it was released on Thrill Jockey Records, which is a cool, very cool Chicago record label. The first track, called Sporting Life, starts with strings and synths, a real drum kit, I think, in there. A lot of electronic layers and keys, fairly glides along in a very Sea and Cake kind of way. It's got a very minimal but fantastic bass line. Eric's bass lines are always quite understated, but really important to the sound, distinctive sound of The Sea and Cake. Track number 2, called The Argument. We've got drum machines and sequencers, busy percussion. It's just nice keys. The vocals don't actually come in to about halfway through on this track. It's quite muted keyboard sounds. The guitars, a lot of Sea and Cake, they leave quite minimal guitar effects. So that, I suppose, showing their jazz influences. Well, of course they do have pedals, guitar pedals, and of course they do. I've seen them play live and they have plenty of guitar pedals, believe me. But their effects, guitar effects, are quite minimal quite often. Guitars, yeah. Smooth bass line again is prevalent in The Argument. Track number 3, title track, The Fawn, glides along again, muted programming, prominent smooth bass line again. It's minimal, but lots going on in this track. It sounds like there's, it is minimal, but you can tell there's, if you listen carefully, it is busy underneath. And there's a quick, it's like synth sounds they use a lot, like a modular synth sound, and it fades out quickly and right at the end into track number 4, The Ravine. This shuffles along. Drum machine, jazzy guitars, meandering bass line, Sam's distinctive falsetto voice. Sings got his own voice, Sam Prekop. I've never heard anyone sing quite like him. Fairly gets a groove on. Again, just a general jazzy under just muted, and everything's underscored and quite subtly done. Track number 5, Resignal. This is a slower track. bass and keys, the bass and the guitars, they've merged together, laid back feel, nice program percussion, Eric's bass sounding great. It's a really nice instrumental, this one actually, is Rosignol. Track number 6, there you are, drum machine pattern with Sam and Archer's distinctive guitar work. Keys and guitars blending in chorus, hard to tell the guitars and the keyboards apart. The more nerdier amongst you might be able to tell. But sometimes I think maybe Archer's maybe using an ebow when a guitar note is elongated, or it might just be, I think he does use an ebow sometimes, or it might just be synth. Syncopated drum patterns, always by John McEntire. Very clever, very good drummer, of course. John, drummer. Also, Tortoise, you could argue, is more his band. He's a member of Tortoise, whereas Sea and Cake, it's very much a team effort. Maybe with Sam Prekop slightly as the main songwriter, I guess. But yeah. Track number 7, Civilize. This has got more of a band feel, with real John McEntire drums. Bass and guitar follows similar pattern as each other. It's a fast verse, and then there's the other parts have got slower parts to them. Jazzy, a very jazzy middle 8, and then some time changes, different layers, busy bass on the outro, and some jazzy piano chords played throughout. Track number 8, Bird and Flag. This is an interesting track, beautiful track. Fades in slowly, reasonably fast paced, but subtle. Repetitive funky guitar line, meandering bass, which plays a tune, which is at odds with what Sam Prekop's vocal line is, but it works, of course. And there's layers of this funky guitar, which changes slightly throughout. And there's nice strings, or the keyboards with a string sound. Always sounded beautiful. Beautiful track. Track number 9, Black Tree in the B Yard. This is a slower tempo one again. Not so much without drums. Without drums, this one. The tempo's set by this repetitive cymbal guitar line, which again changes slightly throughout the song. You could be listening to this and reading your Robert Coover short stories from a postmodern heaven. Hypnotic guitar riff, fluctuating guitar riff, soft, beautiful bass line by Eric Claridge. The ways their guitars merge on a lot of these tracks, Archer's guitar in it and Sam's is quite beautiful as well. Very underplayed and subtle, as I say. Kind of whilst John on drums can be sometimes rather flamboyant in a post-rocky kind of way, if you will. Not quite Terry Bozzio, but sometimes you think, maybe he's listened to him a little bit. And then track number 10, Do Now Fairly Well. Lovely track again. What a great title. This has got a band feel, gentle and subtle guitars, crystal clear production, drum sounding really good. The middle 8 gets flamboyant with John's drumming, but then it goes beautifully quiet afterwards, so there's a reason for that, and it just peters out, it's not quite the right expression, just goes along at this beautiful pace for the rest of the tune. I'm humble in their presence. Intricate guitar parts by Sam Prekop and Archer Pruitt, and the strings, keyboard strings, beautiful there. And Eric's minimal but really effective rumbling bass underscores the whole track, indeed underscores the whole album. And then we've got Mr. John McIntyre with his whatever he's doing at the end, polyrhythms or whatever he's doing, it is warranted. Just sets the tone. Yeah, beautiful guitar parts in the closing track do now fairly well. So that's the album. Here it is again. The Sea and Cake Fawn, the Fawn, their third album, I think it was, third or fourth maybe. Don't quote me. Fourth maybe. Probably a more electronic, slightly more electronic direction to their previous albums. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10, almost a 10. 9.5. It's a lovely album. I recommend it. Recommend all Sea and Cake albums. They're all pretty good. I think if you're a starter to Sea and Cake, maybe just delve into any one of the first 4 albums. As I say, this is the 4th. I wouldn't start with the Fawn. I would start with either their debut or Nassau, which is their 2nd album. But yeah, they're a great band, and yeah, really important band as well. So 9.5 out of 10. Thank you for listening to my review. I'm Jules Brown. This is Off the Cuff Reviews. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, please do so. Always appreciate that. Any comments as well, really like that too. And there's my guys back there, and nothing but trouble. Anyway, thanks for listening again, and speak to you soon.